Throughout this land today there are men who have heard their call. They are our faithful ministers, God's watchmen on the wall. There is a special crown for them in heaven, so I'm told. God bless these faithful ministers, they're watching for our soul.
Welcome to the Watchman's Call. We invite you to study with us the ancient prophecies of the Bible and witness their fulfillment in our modern times.
I see an ancient city surrounded by a wall, and as the night approaches, I hear a watchman call to all God-fearing citizens.
I want to take a few minutes today to just start off by saying thank you to everyone that's following along with this series. Today was supposed to start episode number 5, but I've decided that I'm going to combine 5 and 6 together. Number 5 was the crowd that tried to silence him, and number 6 was going to be the crowd that changed its tune. Now, even though separately, these are two awesome episodes, but when they're combined together, they make one awesome and very powerful single message. So let's get started. Now remember, before a miracle happens, before the breakthrough comes, before the moment where everything changes, there is almost always resistance. Not just circumstances, but voices. You know the ones. The voices that question you before the breakthroughs happen. The voices that doubt you before you see the miracle. The voices that tell you to be quiet. But here's what makes this story so powerful. Those same voices, the ones that tried to silence Barnabas and the ones that try to silence you, they end up speaking something completely different. And that will get us started today with the message of the crowd that tried to silence him and then completely and totally changed their tune. Now our scripture starts in Mark chapter 10 and verse 48. It says, many rebuked him and told him to be silent, but he cried out all the more. And then the very next verse, in that verse, verse 49, those same people changed totally and said, take courage, get up, he's calling you. Think about that. Just between those two verses, it went from him being told or you being told to be quiet, keep your space, don't cause a problem, to voices of encouragement. Get up. Here he's looking for you. He's calling you. That's how quick God can change a circumstance and a situation in your life. Right before the miracles come, right before the breakthrough happens, usually, like we said, that's when the strongest resistance is there. So let's start off by looking at the crowd that tried to silence him. Again, the Bible said, many rebuked him and told him to be silent. See, the crowd forcefully tried to shut him up, tried to shut him down, didn't want him causing any kind of commotion. They didn't want him to be recognized by the Messiah, by Jesus. This wasn't gentle, folks. This was strong pressure. Have you ever felt that in your daily walk? A strong pressure from an enemy or a strong pressure from a resistance trying to keep you from getting what you need from God? Cultural norms said someone like him should stay quiet. Have we heard those cultural norms saying the same thing about us? Maybe the question is not have we, but how many times have we? We have to remember this. They didn't see Barnabas as faith. They saw him as a disturbance. See, they didn't hear desperation. They heard a noise. And sometimes people don't recognize what God is doing in you because they only see your position and not your faith. It is very, very important for us all to keep that in mind when we're going through a trial and our breakthrough is almost there. They don't see your faith. The very ones, the friends, so-called friends, could be the very ones trying to silence you right before your breakthrough. Look what the writer said in Luke chapter 18 and verse 39. They rebuked him, but he cried out all the more. The crowd, see, they represent pressure. They represent opinions, doubt. They represent different systems, voices that don't understand your needs. And with that comes the test. Will you let voices silence your faith or push you to persistence? You see, the truth is, my friends, sometimes our miracles, your miracles, are on the other side of ignoring the wrong voices. More often than not, we have to let our faith get louder under pressure. That's what Bartimaeus done when he cried out all the more. When the pressure was on, he pushed right back. He didn't just let it push him into a silent spot. Opposition did not weaken his faith. Has it weakened yours? At some time, probably. Has it weakened mine at some time? Probably. But it's not supposed to. It's supposed to intensify our faith. You see, real faith don't shrink in pressure. It grows. Real faith don't back up. It presses forward. They tried to shut him up, but he cried out all the more. Because when you know Jesus is your answer, you won't let anything shut your voice down, no matter what it is. Let's look at Psalms 34 and verse 17. It says, the righteous cry out and the Lord hears them. So please don't let discouragement quieten you. Don't let rejection silence you. Don't let misunderstanding stop you. Because sometimes the louder your faith becomes, the closer your moment of breakthrough and your miracle actually is. Let's look back at the story. They were telling him to be quiet, and it said he cried out all the more. Right now, something is happening. Something's changing. And everything shifts because he would not be silenced by the pressure. This is where we get to the crowd that changed its tune. The very same crowd that said, be quiet, now says in the very next verse, like we said, take courage, get up. He's calling you. Ain't that amazing how people do once they see that you're not going to just be shut up and you're not just going to fall under their oppression or their pressure? Sometimes it gets a little worse. Sometimes it gets a lot worse. But sooner or later, you're going to get the Lord's attention. And when you get his attention, that's when things change. That's when things change. Jesus speaks, and the crowd changes immediately. Bartimaeus got Jesus' attention, and everything started changing when Jesus stopped. In the middle of all that was going on, he stopped and stood still. That's where the title of this series comes from, When Heaven Stands Still. Because, not just because of the Messiah that loves you, but because you were not willing to be shut down and to be shut up and to be quieted and to be just pushed aside. No, your need was far more important than any of that. You had to get through to Jesus. They go from a barrier, trying to block him from getting to Jesus, to all of a sudden they're this bridge. Come and let us help. They wanted to help him. They wanted to get him up and get him over there because now Jesus was looking at Bartimaeus, but he was also looking at the people that was trying to tell him to be quiet. And I know he caught some of them in the very act, and they knew it. So they had to back down and back away and let this man bring his plea, bring his request to the master. The oppression, the oppressors, they could not hold him back. Now that Barnabas, now that you have God's attention, the oppression cannot hold you back from getting right to Jesus. They didn't change because of Bartimaeus. Folks, they changed because of Jesus, and that's where we're at today. If we will just hold our ground, no matter how bad the oppression gets, and it gets real bad sometimes, the crowd is not going to change just because of you. But when they know that Jesus you've got his attention, and everybody's going to know it when that happens, that's when they change. But that came because you would not be silenced. When Jesus speaks, folks, everything shifts, even people. You'll be shocked by the ones that will change when Jesus speaks. See, the crowd that once resisted him becomes part of the process of getting him to Christ. It's amazing if you think about it. The very thing that Satan tries to use to keep you from getting your answer, to getting you your breakthrough, the very things that he uses, God's got a way of taking those things and using them for your glory, for your answers. Well, I guess you could say his glory and his honor, but to get you to that place, it's amazing. People will treat you one way until God moves. Then suddenly, folks are talking different. Oh, yeah, I remember, so-and-so, boy, he's no good little scoundrel. He just, he just ain't nothing good about him. And then all of a sudden, God takes this person or takes you or me and does a total 360 and changes our life, and we're walking different, we're talking different, we're doing different, we're doing right. And people see, look what a change has come over him. We know a lot of people in different recovery programs, different situations in life where most people don't want to get their hands dirty, but we get to see a lot of people in these situations when God changes them, man, and he makes workers out of them. He makes witnesses out of them. And the testimony that they have is amazing. And those testimonies start changing lives. Just like Bartimaeus, his testimony from what he was to that very day when Christ called him, he had his attention. Get him to come to me. Let him come to me. Don't try to keep him away from me. And when Bartimaeus got to him, look what a testimony that started coming to life, not just in Bartimaeus, but in people all around him. The change that came over him, the quietness that come over those people, because he knew who they was after the miracle. Before the miracle, they was just the voices. He just heard the voices. He didn't see the people. Let's go on. People will treat you one way, like we said, until God moves. And then suddenly they don't just speak differently, they act differently. So don't build your faith on people. People change. People very close to you change. People that you don't think will ever change, well, they will. Sometimes not for the better. 1 minute, they're pushing back on you. The next minute, they're trying to pull you forward. See, God's in control. It don't matter what a lot of people, it don't matter what the crowd thinks. It don't matter what the norm is. It don't matter what even some of the churches, some of the groups, I guess you could say, some of the different affiliations, I guess you could say. It don't really matter what their rules are. When God moves, things change. And that's how we get our breakthrough. We just got to be willing to stand up and be loud enough, not obnoxious, not threatening, but be loud enough, crying out to the master. Barnabas didn't holler at the people in the crowd. He wasn't pitching a fit with them. He was hollering out to the master. He was trying to get the master's attention in the middle of all the chaos that was going on, in the middle of the oppression. Barnabas had to get Jesus' attention, and man, did he ever get his attention. You see, this shows us that the crowd, even the oppression, is inconsistent. But Jesus, he is steady as a rock. He never changes. He is the most consistent thing in this world. Hebrews 13:8 says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He don't change. He's the same. He don't change. And see, if we build our confidence on people, we'll always be unstable. But if we build our life on Jesus, you will remain grounded. No matter what the voices change around saying around you, no matter what changes, voices, people, places, no matter none of that. If we build our life on Christ, you will remain grounded. So let's close this up. They said, be quiet. He cried out louder. Jesus stopped, and suddenly the same voices said, get up. He's calling you. The voices, my friends, do not determine your outcome. They didn't determine Barnabas's outcome, and they will not determine yours. So what was the determining factor? It was his faith, and it will be your faith that determines the outcome. Your faith, God recognizes that faith when it's alive, when it is pressing beyond the oppression. There'll always be voices, friends, some that discourage you, unfortunately, and some that encourage you. But neither one defines your direction. Remember that, because in the middle of it all, there is one voice that matters the most. And when he calls you, everything changes. Remember that. Folks, y'all be blessed. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed these series, I've got one more coming, and it's going to be episode number 8. And the title to that one is going to be The Crowd He Could Now See. Now, folks, you're not going to want to miss the last episode of this series. So y'all stay with us. And look, if you're enjoying these programs, if you're enjoying the messages that you're hearing, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. That way, as soon as the new messages come out, any new podcasts come out, you'll be the first ones to know about them. And that will help us get these messages all over the world. I was shocked when we first started doing these podcasts to find out there's people in Asia that's listening to these podcasts all over the world, all cities all over, even Iran. It's amazing. The Bible tells us to spread the word all over the world. And every time y'all hit like and a new subscription hits or a new download, that lets the people that are in charge of these podcasts see that there's a need out there for people to hear. So y'all help us spread the word all over. Be super blessed, and we appreciate y'all very, very much.
And when the night is long and dark, it seems I hear a prayer. Oh, God above, look down in love and keep us in your care. Watchman.
Thank you for joining with us here at the Watchman's Call. My friends, Jesus is coming back very soon. The signs for his return are showing up all over the world, even as we speak right now. Our job is to reach as many people as we can and warn them about his return. And you can help us do that by sharing these messages with everybody you know. That means the saint and the sinner. Everyone must be warned, and we don't have much time left. Y'all be blessed and keep watching. And remember, leave us a comment to let us know your thoughts and concerns.